Back at it again. It's the Photo Culture Podcast. We have Caleb Schaftlein with us today. What's going on, Caleb?
What's going on?
Everybody, super honored to be here. So glad that I get this opportunity. It's really exciting.
Thank you. I know you just said you just came back from Iran.
No, I ran.
Oh.
I just went jogging.
Oh. Oh.
Wow, Rose. Way to really confuse that.
No,
I mean, it did sound like that though. Yeah, I was about to say, how was that with this whole little? I was about to say, it's
They let you fly.
yeah, like how did that happen?
I was supposed to be in Brazil just yesterday, and yeah, I didn't get to do that. I was gonna be visiting Luis class from Brazil in Sao Paulo.
Luis who?
Luis Claudio, and he's a photographer that I first met like 4 or 5 years ago, and I just featured his photos back then. He was not noticed, and now he's got over 400,000 followers on his page. So my page was the first to feature him 4 years ago, and now he's just blown up. So he's gonna be doing some workshops, photography workshops, and we're gonna be able to do that together. I'm excited.
All right. So when's the date for that? Any since I know this quarantine and coronavirus got everything slowed down, so is there like an exact date for that or anything? Or
I'm gonna be rescheduling it hopefully in June.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You're starting it in June?
I'm gonna hopefully reschedule it for June or July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and let's start off with your background. So where are you from?
So I actually grew up. This is a good place to start. I actually grew up in this place called Crawford County on a farm with 3 older sisters. So because I was in a very rural area, I grew up with a lot of different area around me, and we had cattle, horses, and I took a lot of photos whenever I was younger. I picked up a camera at the age of 16 that my mom gave me, and I just loved it. So I started doing 365 back then. It was Flickr days, always looking at Flickr. So I grew up on a farm with my sisters, my parents, and it's in a country area. So there wasn't many opportunities for photography there. There really wasn't. And honestly, not many people supported me in my work whenever I first started. So that was something that was definitely a challenge to get through. In fact, I can tell a story about it if you all want to hear.
Go ahead. We all ears.
Awesome. So yeah, whenever I first started, like I said, I was all over Flickr, just loving, back at the time there was a bunch of conceptual and fine artwork, photography, all over that space. So I got inspired by that, and I started taking photos every night after school. And I did it for a straight year on Instagram. And the reason why I got an Instagram is because my mom wouldn't let me get on Facebook. She didn't think that social media would be good for me. She thought I was going to be cyberbullied.
Yeah, I seen that.
She was like, yeah, you can't get on there because it's dangerous. She heard all about the social medias. And all of my friends were on Facebook already. So they told me about Instagram. My mom didn't know the social media existed. So I was able to get on this social media, and which point I started taking photos, and it just became something that I really liked. I was doing it with my iPod at the time, editing, and I got a DSLR. And I did that for about a whole year of me just consistently posting and editing work. And like I said, not many people in my town thought it was that cool of photography at the time. This was back in 2012. And I finally got the confidence to do a photo shoot with my best friend, at which point after the photos were done, I went back to school, and this was the very first modeling shoot that I did. And my friend told me that my photos weren't good. So I was very discouraged by my photography back then, whenever she said that to me. And I decided I want to also feature other people who are better than me. And that's where Bleached film came into be. So I decided I'm going to start I love the social aspect of it. hanging out with other people around the world, that I had the ability to talk to somebody from Australia. Even whenever I was 16, I thought that was very valuable. And I realized that there was, something here that I was going to love in the future. And that's whenever I decided I was going to start a feature page that, since I wasn't the best as I wanted to be, I wanted to share other people around the world who are even better. And that's what started this idea called Bleached Film. And I'm repping my gear here.
Nice.
But I started a feature page on Instagram and started it at 0 followers. And it's now at 558,000 followers. So it's been 7 years since I did that. And I can't even tell you the crazy stuff that's happened since I first started photography. It's been such a blessing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty much how long it takes to grow a business. Pretty much, they said 5 to 7 years. Some people think it's right away, it just magically happens overnight. Really, there's a backstory to everybody's success.
I think that's true for sure. There's definitely a lot that people think that, and the reason why is because all you see is the success at the end, and you don't see people's failures throughout the time. So as I was going throughout college, I was actually not, at the beginning, I was considering not doing college. And my mom told me to do it because you're going to learn so much about business and ethics in your business. And that's going to be the benefit of going to school instead of not. So you're going to have, a benefit over people that didn't, an advantage. And I was able to make enough money from my page to pay for the first year of college. So I did go, and my parents told me I had to pay for my school. So I decided to go to Indiana University here where I am in Indiana. And I ended up paying for all 4 years of my college with my Instagram account.
Your whole family,
awesome, dude.
That is crazy. Is your family living in Indiana with you, or are you by yourself?
No, I'm currently in this place called Bloomington, where Indiana University is.
Oh, okay.
And I went to school there for 4 years. My family, we live in the farm, so it's like an hour and a half south of here.
Oh, okay.
In the neck of the woods. And they don't live with me. I actually live with roommates now, who I met in college.
Oh, okay. Damn, you're a country boy.
Yeah. So
listen, I love the country. My best friend lives in Kansas, and I'm like obsessed. One day I'm gonna live there. She has like all the animals, goats, horses, chickens, like everything. I think it's so cool. I'm not even gonna lie. And I'm a super city girl.
I actually just went home like last weekend. It was the first time that I went home since Christmas because of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home and I found out my dad had just bought 3 new pigs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we really do live on the farm. And I got this really cute picture of my niece looking over the pigs too. So if you want, I can pull that up.
Yeah, we go. I want to look at it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You got to take me to the country. I've never been to the country. You got to teach me the ropes.
So there's the pigs.
Oh.
And that's my niece. And I got the shot where she's actually looking at them. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's so cute.
I was just hearing Donald Trump talking about they about to invest a lot of money to the farms right now. How's it affecting your family right now with the coronavirus?
So my dad actually is not a full-time farmer. He had a job in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. It's a pretty big city, and he was a contractor there for like projects around that city. So he just retired, and the farm aspect was not really for income for my family.
Oh, so it's just like a personal farm.
It was.
Do you guys like animals type thing?
We do. My dad makes money from his business as a farmer, but because we have a 86-acre farm, it's pretty big. It's not like it's not small, but
no, I mean 86 acres.
That's huge. That's crazy.
but it's just something that he does like on the side. You know, it's his passion, not necessarily for profit. So it's not affecting my family too bad. How about you all?
We're in Florida, so we're
Well,
in the
I don't
city.
farm. I'm nowhere near farming. The most that we have is what? Citrus groves. We've got oranges. That's about as far as we're gonna get to a farm.
Yeah,
and you're very lucky if you see cows. Like You got to be driving like out
North.
in the middle of nowhere, like
Yeah.
5-6 hours,
Jupiter
middle
area.
of nowhere. Further
We
than
just-
Jupiter. Don't try Jupiter like that.
Nah,
They still aren't
yeah,
that, that's not even close to what they have over there.
yeah.
I mean,
The state
They get
officially
one
opened
horse
today.
and they think they have a farm or a chicken coop and they think it's a farm. They're like, yeah, I got a farm, girl. Just
Yeah, you gotta have them come back to my crib.
for sure, for sure.
we're gonna take a visit. We gotta. I never been on the farm, so I want to like the experience. I want to check it out. So
That's how it was for me, because whenever I first went to college, it was like a culture shock to have so much diversity and so many new people. It was such a great thing to go to school for me, because I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to do like business, like I said, like law.
networking too.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And eventually after school, I've been able to get a good job as well. So I am currently managing Instagram, photography, and a 9-to-5 position right now.
You sound like me right now.
Yeah.
Hey, but I wanted to jump back into the. You made a social media account with Kaylee, Jacob, and Serena. Is that correct?
So Keely, Jacob, and Serena were the very first people that actually helped me come up with the idea. So I came to them. They were my internet friends at the time. And I came to them with the idea of making a feature page where we're going to start sharing the best work around the world. And they were all down for it. And I came up with the name Bleached Film. And the reason why I came up with that name is because, like I said, my mom gave me a film camera and taught to me, actually have some film right here. But she told me that when you open the film in the camera and like right after shooting and you didn't develop it, so like it's exposed to too much light, there's light
The film, right?
the film is destroyed almost. And that's where the name Bleached, whited out film came out to be. So that's what the name means. Yeah.
That is very clever.
Cool name, yeah.
Are you still with them or no?
No, so at some point they weren't as dedicated with the page. They started to just not post. So I was the one that was like within the first couple months, and we didn't have any followers. We didn't have anything, but I was consistently noticing they weren't engaging or posting on the page. And if they did, they would shout themselves out. So I started to kind of veer away from that. And eventually some of them said, hey, I'm not interested in doing this anymore. It wasn't getting traction. Like they were just kind of like, this is a lost cause. So eventually they kind of left and I continued to run it myself. And that was within the first couple months.
They wasn't really in it for the dream. It sounded like they were selfish kind of in a way at one point.
And it's surprising that you found that information out about the four of us.
Yeah, I was wondering because I don't see you talk about them no more or anything like that. So I was wondering if y'all even together anymore.
Was that through? How did you find that information out?
We're investigators.
Yeah, you did some really good research. I'm actually really impressed. So, good job. I actually talked to one of them last weekend. She connected with me on Facebook in my Facebook group for photography. And whenever I accepted her request, I was like, oh my gosh, how are we meeting each other again 7 years later? Like our last conversation was in 2013 on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Hey, sorry, I'm not interested no more. I don't think it's gonna work out.
But basically now I run it alone, and I have a page manager who helps me manage everything, including business sponsorships, posting, as well as the stories and content. Yeah, it is work.
Okay, and with that being said, how did you take it? Like when I forgot her name, but she had told you that she thought
It's time to depart.
Not even that. The person that told you that you suck at photography at the time.
Oh yeah. So actually, what happened was I was really upset. I was I was actually mad at her. So for the rest of the day, I was like, okay, I'm never doing a photo shoot with you again. I was really upset with my work. I'm sure you all relate. Like if somebody comments bad about
Oh yeah.
what you do, instantly you just start like eating yourself up about it.
Uh-huh.
So I did the opposite of what you should do. I actually decided to stop. At the time, I said that if I'm not going to be the best at this, then I shouldn't do it, and I'm going to share other people's work around the world. But it took me until now and until the past year to pick it up again, because I was going throughout college, and it was so much studying and so much class and friends that I didn't have the time to not only run Bleach film, but also do photography on the side. And eventually I decided, you know what, I want to get back into this passion. Like I've been working in this space, helping photographers for all this time. I need to also, like, my dream is to become a professional full-time photographer and just have that as my full-time job. So
That's awesome.
I'm getting back into it now, and I'm really loving it.
That's awesome. Do you take any sort of like pointers from people that you've actually featured their work?
So many. And it's incredible because over the years I've seen the best of the best work. So I'm able to now kind of like bring those ideas back up and recreate them myself. As well as the people that I get to talk to on a day-to-day basis inspire me with what they create because they're so talented. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Have you thought of doing like those TikTok tutorial videos that all these people are doing with the really cool like photo features and like water and all these things?
I have done that, yeah. So
I'm thinking those are so cool.
I started doing TikTok a couple months ago, and after like maybe creating 5, then I gave up.
I know it's hard. It's
a lot of
hard.
work.
It is a lot of work.
You know, one thing that caught me. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
I just had a question about like as far as when you said somebody said that they didn't like your photography, and what I noticed on one of the tips, because I was watching your the 5 tips that you had for photographers coming up, was that you said that it's not good to post what you think somebody else likes, and that's something that a lot of people would be like that they're doing that. They're trying to post something. How did you find that out? Was that something that you wanted to prove to yourself to do, or is that something that you found out that works for you on your page?
So what I meant by that is that you should never kind of try to go with what you think will perform better if you don't personally like it yourself, because as you're developing in your photography and as you go out, it's important to stay true to yourself. And there's so many people who try to copy others and just, become famous from doing what other people has worked for them instead of doing what they want to do. And it's important to learn yourself before you, and be proud of your work, because there's so many people that aren't. And I've struggled with that myself too. Every single time I was taking photos back then, I didn't think I was good. And I look back at it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? I had talent there and I gave up on it. So what I mean by that is don't get discouraged by people, because they will put you down. And the thing is, you got to say, it's okay. Like, I'm going to get better and everybody else is going to get better. It's a learning process.
It's so true.
Yeah, I have a saying, man. If you don't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. Like the bigger you get, the more hate you're gonna get. It's just life in general.
Always.
That was my first hater, but we're still friends. So it's all good.
All right, so I know you said that you used the page to pay for your college. At one point, did you start making money off the page? Was it before you went to college, or like it happened at the right time during college?
So whenever I started first making money online, it was in my basement at my house. And I started with this thing called feature points. And I was growing my audience on my account. And I was realizing that everybody else out there, there's like all these paid apps for editing that everybody wants and they don't want to pay for it. So feature points came into play where I realized, one, I have a photography audience. They want to get this application, but they don't buy it. So feature points is an application where you can download other free apps and get points, and then they give you credit to get the application for free.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, wait, I'm going to use my marketing abilities. I'm going to make a post, and I'm going to tell people that you can get the editing app Snapseed for free just by downloading a few apps. And I referred them through feature points. So feature points had this system set up where 50% of the points that person makes under your referral link go back to you. So I realized if I sign all these people up who follow me, one, it's benefiting them, but it's also benefiting me because I'm going to continue to make the points that they are downloading these apps, and they're going to continue to use it. So it's mutually beneficial. And I started with that, and I ended up starting to actually pay people to post it on their page. I got, it was challenging, but like I got 13,000 people to sign up under my link. And
wow.
Just from feature points, I was able to make a couple $1,000s, pay for my first ever laptop, and start investing into my brand. So that's whenever I was at the age of like 15. Oh no, I was about 16 or 17. It was about a year or two after starting my page. So whoever is listening, don't think that you're going to make money from social media in the beginning. That's not your objective. Your objective is to serve your community, make them have great content that they love to watch. After I realized that I can benefit my audience, but also benefit myself, someone contacted me and said, hey, how come you don't like feature people who pay for it? And I was like, wait, that's a genius idea. Like, I can actually make a business model out of this. So I had already run my page for 3 years at this point, like without really much revenue at all. So I have been posting every single day, building a connection with my audience. And I didn't go into it thinking I'm going to make money. I never thought that in the beginning. I was there to provide great photos that everybody else loved. And what kept me going is the exposure that I was able to give to photographers around the world, and their emotions, that like how they reacted after I featured them, because people would gain a lot of followers, they would get a lot of publicity, and they would comment back and say they were so excited I made their day. And that's what really inspired me, is just getting the publicity for these photographers to make their day better. I realized like that's what I'm in it for. It's not for the money. And that's what I did for literally 3 years straight. At which point that person contacted me and said, you can actually start charging spots on your page. And I started a business model around that where it's a native advertisement in my page. So nobody's going to be upset whenever I'm posting a photographer. The photographer also is getting exposure, and I'm getting paid. And I'm getting paid for the hard work that I put in. So if there is I would never have been here this long if I was running it for free and not profiting, because it's just too much work to continue to not like make money from your side job or side gig.
Right.
Eventually I realized the business potential in it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how hard it is to run a page that's like a business page. People think it's easy, just a 1, 2, 3 posts and that's it. You have to keep your audience engaged really a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's something I've done for 7 years straight, and I've only missed a day a few times. Like whenever I don't post in a day, not gonna lie, I'm really upset. I'm like, do you all ever have those days when you're just feeling terrible because you didn't do something? Like if you wanted to go for a workout and you didn't,
or a run,
just sad. That's how I feel when I don't engage with my audience, because I miss out on like that connection with those people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You built a community with that Instagram page. It's just not like a regular Instagram page. You have a community. Like, did you think college was worth it, and do you plan on going back?
So I would say for someone who, it depends on what you study. So I studied business, and if you're a photographer, I recommend you go to school for business instead of photography. And the reason why is because the business aspect is what you miss out on if you go to photography schools. They'll teach you how to take good photos and how to maybe work with your clients, but they don't teach you how to run a business. And
True.
that's really important to stay alive in your, as a business owner, you have to understand your profit margin, you have to understand the expenses, the investment that you have to do, legal things such as contracts, and how you can work around those problems. How to do simple things such as branding yourself is also important for photographers who are getting started in their business. So that's what I would say. Yes, it's worth it, because I was able to learn things that a lot of people didn't if they didn't go to school. And it's benefited me so much already. Like, I learned a lot about marketing. So people who are photographers, they have to know how to run a business, but they also have to know how to market their business. And if you want to run a successful photography business, you have to know how to price your products profitably. So I would say for me, it was worth it because of the industry that I'm in. I'm in the information technology industry. I studied this thing called informatics as my major, and my minor was marketing. So for me, it was definitely worth the money. And it's so hard to say that because I spent so much money on my school, my education, but it was worth it. Like, it was worth it for me because the opportunities that came along whenever I was in school, I would have like not known how to even talk to you all if I didn't go to college, because I was struggling with just social aspects before I went. But now I'm able to talk to anybody and have a good conversation because I'm not worried about what I'm going to say. And if I'm going to mess up in that conversation, I'm just being myself. There's a few principles that I think that are taught in school and college that you won't get anywhere else. I think for me, undergrad was worth it. And I'm not going to go back to graduate school because I don't think that I'm going to benefit as much as I would learning on my own.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I understand. I feel like college is good and, you know, school is good to help you articulate certain things. But if you're not going to be like a surgeon, you know, sometimes undergrad's good to give you the basics, you know.
So do you all think it's worth it?
I mean, I went to school and I did law school partially, didn't finish, and then I still ended up, I was a paralegal for 7 years, and then now I'm a hairstylist for the past 2. So yes and no, because I can still use my legal background and had something to fall back on as far as the whole pandemic goes and not being able to work, you know.
Yeah.
But then in the same aspect, like, I have the flexibility of being able to do hair, and I get to, you know, it's all money for me that I don't have to necessarily tax out like completely, like, all, you know, when you have a paycheck, or, you know, and I get to have my own hours, my own business. I don't. So, I mean, yes and no, because it's just, like you said, it depends on what you're for, you know, because I did my associates in business and I own a business now, but then I went for something else. So I think you have to really like find your niche and you can use it. It's just a matter of like what you're going to use it for, and if, you know, you really need it. Because I feel like so many of these jobs, even like when I was a paralegal, you don't necessarily need a degree to do that. So I think that it's, you know, yeah, no.
It's funny. You tell me you're a hairstylist. I know that you couldn't cut hair while this is going on. I'm not sure if you cut any friends' hair, but all my friends have been asking me to cut their hair since the quarantine. And you know what's funny is that I haven't got a haircut, but I've cut every single one of my roommates' hair.
You might want to trust somebody. YouTube's being handy lately.
Yeah, YouTube is really handy. I know
It's
a lot
so
of people on the YouTube right now.
It's so funny
yeah, it's
because
so fun.
I never cut hair in my life. And one day my roommate was like, hey, can you cut my hair? I don't care if you mess it up. I just want this stuff off me. And I cut his hair really good. And afterwards, my next roommate wanted it. My friend wanted it. Now I've done 4 haircuts. I'm gonna have
Are
to
you
start.
sure?
You
Are
need
you
to start
sure,
charging,
Caleb?
man.
Caleb, are you sure? Are you sure really good? Are you sure you didn't hear?
Yeah.
I didn't cut my hair,
Listen,
but I am good.
just one straight clip all the
Actually,
way over. You're good.
I need Lisa to tell me that my photo or that my haircuts are good. So I'll have to show
Let
you.
me see. Let me see. Yeah, you're gonna have to show me, and I'll rate it for you.
Okay.
I'll keep it real. I promise.
You be taping them up too and everything, or you just cut it off?
I do the fade.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exclusive. Sorry, my friend. Sorry.
That's cool.
So proud.
That's cool because I can't even
You
cut
do the
hair. That's
blending.
crazy.
You blend in between.
I did the blending right here. Yeah.
Yes. So proud.
Something to talk about as well, and a lot of people find it really interesting when you share what you do, like your side projects and stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I start to notice, people want to be part of the story. They want to be there from the beginning and see you grow. That's how a lot of YouTubers blew up. People don't care about
Oh yeah.
They like their story really the most.
Mhm. And they like to watch you grow. I actually have followed a few people like when they had like no followers whatsoever, and now they're like super up there. I'm like, I remember when you had like no followers and nobody even like looked, and now I see you. I see you doing big things.
You all know Brandon Waffle?
Brandon Waffle?
Brandon Waffle from New York?
No. What does he do?
Okay. So he is a photographer who is very famous, as well as Calip. Both of those people I used to talk and work with whenever I first started. And at the time, they were like lower than me in following. And my page was super active. And we just kind of like lost touch and stuff. But eventually, because of their personal branding, they just ramped up, and it's now turned into like he's got 3 million and the other guy just hit 1 million followers. So yeah, consistency is king. It really helps out if you keep going. Eventually people love it to see your improvement. So it's all about the journey that you go through.
What do you think were the key things that pretty much made you take off besides consistency? Like what do you think that would help other people?
Yeah, for sure. So the key things is collaboration at the very beginning. I always knew that whenever I started, I told you how I started my personal photography page in the beginning. And at the time, I was always talking to new people, reaching out to new editors, new photographers, and just starting conversations. And once I started my second project, which was Bleached Film, I actually had those people to reach out to, and they had an audience. And I just edited their photos for them. And then they would include me in their bio or as their caption, like edited by Bleached Film. And that's how I first got started, is collaborating with other people. And that's kind of the best thing you can do to really ramp up your audience, is to do something like this, like what we're doing right now. I'm able to talk and speak to your audience, but not have my own thing. And I'm able to make a dollar off your all's nickel. Like, so you do the same thing with other people. There's tons of different ways to do that, whether it be interacting in the comments, interacting with them in the direct messages, like swiping up on their stories, but starting a conversation, and eventually it will lead to something productive for both of you. That's where I got started, and that's where I recommend people start, is to figure out who you can talk to, who you can work with. If you're a photographer, you're going to be looking for a model. If you're a model, you're going to be looking for a photographer. Who is it that you can work with in your local community to benefit both of you? Because the model needs photos and the photographer needs models. So that's already a mutual relationship. But if the other person has an audience, it's even more beneficial to you. So the best thing you could do to get started is to start having conversations, reaching out to people around the world, and eventually somebody's going to say yes and go with your idea, and it's going to take off for you. So that's my first step, is to collaborate. And my second tip is to be yourself, because everybody else is already taken, you know, and you aren't going to be true to yourself. No one else is going to come. There's people out there, whether you're being anything, you know, any sort of topic, there's someone out there that relates to it. And if you try to be somebody else, it's already taken. You need to put yourself out there, what you love to do, and eventually people will find you and follow you.
I think that's for
true.
everything, not just I think
No,
that's for
absolutely.
anything. Anything you do, try to like be yourself. Don't try to copy. And if you do like, because if you think about it, music is kind of copy too, but everybody puts their own sauce to it, a different flavor to it. So
No,
just
it's
be
true.
original. Be original, but at the same time, put your own style to it. At the same time.
I'm working on branding myself at this time. Over the past 3 months, I've been working on honing in on what my brand is, what my message is, the stories that I want to tell people that really impact them and inspire them. So a story that is inspirational for me, and this is what, for people listening, this is what you can take from it, is that you need to have some sort of direction that you know you're taking yourself in, and use your stories to your advantage to tell what you're going to do. Because if you don't tell people where you came from, what you've done, then they can't relate to you in any way. So for me, I've been working on developing a personal brand where I tell people, yes, like I started at nothing. I gave up. I struggled all throughout school, but I kept doing it because it was my passion. And because of that, it led to job opportunities. It led to financial incentives. It led me to helping other photographers literally go full time in their business. And that's what's so amazing, is that this social media network has allowed me to connect with people from all over the world who are struggling with the same things that I did 3 years ago. And now I'm able to help them grow their audience and become a full-time photographer too. And that's the best thing ever, is that because of that branding, now I'm reaching out to my target audience. So figure out your branding, collaborate, and be yourself. And eventually, if you're consistent, and that's the hard part, eventually people will come.
Consistency.
Bravo, say.
I don't think people really understand the power of networking. Even with this podcast, social media podcast is very powerful, because as you can see, look how we connected with you, Caleb, and you're all the way in Indiana, we're in Florida, and I don't think people understand that when you do an interview, it can make you look good, it can make you look bad. Like that's how strong the power of it. Like when you do interviews, it can grow. You can grow. Yeah. Yeah, it can grow an audience. It can make somebody be like, wow, I didn't know this guy was like this. I like this guy. And next you know it, they're going to start following your story and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I really do appreciate you all, giving me this opportunity. I want to do more things like this. I actually have been thinking about reaching out to people to do podcasts with. So I'm glad that you all reached out to me. I'm working on getting more traffic, and a great way to do that is to reach out to people, like I said, and to get in front of those people, because there's listeners. It's just tapping into it that's the hard part. So people think, how am I going to reach 10,000 people? They think they need to individually go to 10,000 houses, but social media allows you to talk to people all at once, and that's so powerful. Just the fact that I can get on live and be communicating with hundreds of people within that second. It's very powerful.
It's so true.
Tell me another place, unless you're publicly speaking, that you can talk to that many people at once.
The news.
Okay.
Yeah, but the news, the news.
We're not on that platform. I feel you though.
Plus they built that for years. That news been around for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is. It's so true about the stories. Like, when you put out a story, because it shows that you care too. Also, like if you put your heart out there, and they say, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. So that's how the following comes up with us, and you putting your story and it touches them. Like, so that's big, man. That is big, because I ran into a few YouTube channels. I'm like, man, I didn't know, because I'm a car guy, so I follow car channels, and people are like, oh, it's just ripping and running and drifting and doing burnouts. But when you hear their story behind why they're doing it, it's it's pretty big.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That the car life is there's a story behind it. Some people look at it and like, oh, they're just wasting money. It's not even about that.
Has wasted thousands of dollars between, I don't know, having the turbo, the exhaust, the caps we just created in the 3D printer, to wrapping it, unwrapping it, rims. Listen, if anybody knows about thousands going into cars, it's your girl right here who just
It's
walked
not
in.
wasting money to them though. To them, it's not wasting money.
Listen, as long as it's not my money, he can buy whatever he wants.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. But like with your photography, is there a lot of investments that you had to make in order to? Because I've seen like the DSLR cameras, and I've seen like all these different cameras coming out, and even the new iPhone 11.
I got a
like,
Nikon; those are good too.
Yeah,
Probably
I
not
saw
as
the
good as
video.
yours.
What, Caleb, what did you think about that? Like, what do you think about the iPhone 11 camera compared to like the DSLR
Yeah.
cameras and
So I think the iPhone 11 is actually it's outstanding. I'm really impressed with the quality of the photos that it can take, the aperture abilities, and the depth of field that it has. So I think the iPhone 11 is definitely groundbreaking to the photography industry. However, I don't think it's helping photographers as much as it's helping the end user. Like,
Right, because they don't need a photographer for the quality of photos.
Exactly. Technology is
making
advancing
themselves,
so
right.
fast that everybody has the best camera in their pocket. And I think that that's just going to happen no matter what anybody says. Like, we're going to continue to develop technology. Of course, I don't think that the photography industry is going to go out or anything. I think there's still a need for it. But you can't replace the quality that my camera can take with an iPhone. Like, I have this. I have a Sony A7 III with the Sigma 35 millimeter 1.4, and
fancy.
this camera, you cannot beat it with an iPhone. Like, I will tell you that. So
That's that big boy status.
paparazzi.
yes, dude.
Yeah, we're fancy.
I just got it, and it's so incredible. I'm very happy that I got this camera. It's an investment, but it's an investment into my brand, and it's something that is going to distinguish me from everybody else. So that's why I'm using it. I want to be able to travel the world, talk to somebody, and be confident that my camera is very high quality, and also be confident in my work so that I know that they want to hire me. And to that point, yes, it is expensive, but you can make so much more money than it costs. Like, for example, a drone. There's so many people that do drone work right now, and I was able to get my drone for $600 used.
That's how much I got mine too from Best Buy though.
From Best Buy, it was new, maybe, but I got mine used, and there's already been people who are contacting me, and I don't even know how to use it yet, and they're like, "I want."
Yeah.
They're really hard, and honestly,
hard
the
to fly.
expensive ones die so fast. Like, you spend so much money on these, and the batteries die within like an hour.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought the battery life was pretty good.
No, I mean, it depends, but most of them, for the most part, like the really good ones, they don't last. Like, I think the max is like 2-3 hours, I want to say, for it to go around.
Mine is 40 minutes.
Yeah, see, it's not very long.
Yeah, and it is sometimes challenging, like, especially if the wind is really strong, so it's even more fast.
And you have to get them registered. We had to get it registered, and you have to like go through all these limitations. Yeah, you got to get it registered before you fly it. Otherwise,
I'm in Indiana. I'm not in the city, remember?
Oh, well, you know what?
Let's
switch because yeah, because over here, I mean, granted, I might be too close to Trump anyways, but they'll fine you if you don't get it registered. You can't like fly it over certain areas. You can't. I'm like, man, what are we really supposed to do with this thing then?
Yeah. Cops called on you.
Yeah, my son was playing with it. We know.
And that happened.
Yeah.
And then what, they looked at your thing?
They just come and they tell you, hey, you're not supposed to fly it over, certain areas, and they ask to see if you registered it or not because, I don't know. I was like, dude, he's 14. Like, what's he really going to be filming?
Yeah.
He's trying to see the sky, okay?
Do they take your drone or do they find you?
No, they didn't take it. They just said that you're not supposed to do it. He's 14, what are you really going to do? Find a 14-year-old? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. So I just told them it is registered. We didn't know it. He didn't know any better. You know, he not me, because then I get in trouble, but he doesn't get in trouble. So
There you go.
No, what type of cameras would you recommend somebody who's trying to start photography?
So if you're starting photography, you most likely don't have a budget for it, right? And if you want to get started, it's so funny you asked that because I just bought this. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was 15, and this is going to be a long-winded story, but I first got mine, the Nikon J1. It was the first mirrorless camera that came out whenever I got mine. And I was like, whoa, this is top of the line. This is so cool. But it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. And a friend of my sister's introduced me to her camera, and she had a DSLR. And hers was bigger. Mine was mirrorless, so it was lighter, smaller, more compact. And I realized after I got it that it wasn't what I wanted. So she traded me her DSLR. And like I said, I just got this one. So I had my DSLR for so long, until it's been 7 years now. And I just upgraded because I finally have the financial capability to do that. So but I've done paid projects with my other camera. So what I recommend for somebody who's just getting started, if you don't have the budget, is to get the Nikon D 5100. I had the Nikon D 3100. And you want to get a lens, or the Canon T3i, because these are super budget friendly. Like, do you all know Facebook Marketplace?
I don't even use Facebook.
Yeah, I know what
I
you're
don't
talking
have
about.
Facebook.
So Facebook Marketplace is a way to find local listings, and it's a very trusted place where things are cheap because people want to get rid of them, and they're not using it, so they will put the price very low. So I recommend go on Facebook, Lisa, and look for a camera that is, the T3i by Canon, T6, anything that's TI series, or the Nikon D series.
I have a Nikon D.
And those are older, and they have good capabilities. But where you want to invest your money is actually your lens. So I recommend, if you're doing portraits, you would get something with a shallow depth of field, which would be a 1.8 f, 50 millimeter or 30 millimeter. And that's going to serve you really well. So that lens costs $100, and I was able to use that all the way throughout college, do paid gigs, do a wedding, and do car photo shoots and everything like that, get paid, and make enough money to actually purchase this camera. So I recommend starting small and then making money as a photographer, because there will be people who offer you to take photos and pay.
I was just thinking, just now, do you think iPhone really is trying to like compete with cameras, like take them out the market now?
I think they're trying to compete with other phones, not with cameras, because
I think they're just trying to be the best phone with the best camera and the best of everything. It's Apple.
The benefit of an iPhone is that it has software included in it, and they actually are able to use the software and make the photo even better with artificial intelligence. For example, like blurring the background, they do that a lot in iPhones.
Oh, right. With
artificial software that's blurring the background, it's not the lens. So this lens makes it super good. It's milky. It's exactly what you want. The iPhone actually takes an artificial blur, and it uses that to make the photo appear as if it's a DSLR.
Wow.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, you're schooled.
You got schooled.
Yeah. A lot of people are gonna be learning today.
They're tricky. Tim Cook and Steve Jobs, they're tricky.
Some people think Android cameras are better than iPhones, though. Depending on what type of Android you got.
I
kind of like that Google. The Google. I like the Google one.
Yeah, the Google Pixel one, I think, is the one everybody keeps talking about.
I'm not going to lie. That one, actually, when I was playing with it, I was like, I don't like the phone, but the camera wasn't too shabby, not going to lie.
The video on the iPhone 11, I'm not going to lie. That is the craziest video I've seen for a phone, when somebody was recording on their YouTube, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was
turning into the go-to vlogging camera because it's so easy, so portable. So I think they're definitely breaking through bounds with their in the industry, but I don't think they're trying to compete. So photographers today, like a lot of them are getting the iPhone 11 so they can take those quick shots. And I was able to see it in person with Luis Claudio because I met him in New York City like that last November. And he bought the phone that day. And the photos with the wide angle are so beautiful, especially if you take video with the wide angle. It's like incredible. So I definitely think it's something to look at. I don't think that if you're going into business as a photographer, you're just going to get laughed at if you pull out your iPhone.
I'm not gonna lie. I was at a party one time and I seen the guy pull out an iPhone, but he had some like a lens on top of the camera. Attachment, yeah. And the quality came out nice though. Like, is that still laughable?
Still laughable. I don't know, unless it's like something this big. But
nah, it wasn't. It was like small. It was very small.
Like
but
the
I was
little
like,
fish eyes.
yeah, I was like,
what they're called?
I don't know what they call, but I was like, what the hell is that? And then he recorded the whole party with that, and I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. I don't even think you need those today because the zoom is so good and the wide angle is so good with the iPhone. Like you wouldn't even need an external lens at this point. It's got 3 already, But yeah. But so, are you all like in the business of photography?
I am not, but I work with models and New York Fashion Week and Swim Week and Neiman Marcus and different editorials. So I do work with a lot of photographers. I personally, I dabble in it. Like I'm not bad, to be honest. Like I'm actually pretty decent. I get some good shots. I got told by our photographer for Neiman Marcus that I got the only good shot of him ever smiling in his whole life, and he sent it to his wife. So I feel majorly accomplished by that photo alone. But I mean, I like playing with the camera. I have fun with it. I wouldn't call myself a photographer though. I do try to get on the floor and do all the moves.
For your business, it will be very beneficial to take amazing
I
photos.
do. I have a ring light, and I did, invest in the necessary things for taking good photos and stuff like that for social media content.
Yeah,
and stuff.
we have somebody though on our team. We have somebody
We do. Her name is Lisa. Also,
shout out to Lisa.
Lisas are the shit. So, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, she does all the great pictures and the editing. Shout out to Lisa.
She does.
She probably gonna love this. She probably gonna love this interview.
Oh yeah.
The business of photography, you should join my Facebook group.
She's actually really good too. We should tell her to follow him.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
She should have been here. I'm upset.
I know. You know what? Where is Lisa?
Actually, let me. Actually, no, she's probably busy right now. But yeah.
It's quarantine. How busy are we really?
For real.
I don't know.
Well, I've been busier than ever during quarantine, to be honest.
That's true. I feel like everyone's been trying to keep extra busy, but I don't think it's like to the busy where you can't like, hi, okay, bye.
So recently I started a Facebook group for photographers, and I am helping other photographers who are like struggling with their reach, struggling to get people to reach out to them and message them for their services, and especially struggling to what to say to book a photo shoot. So I'm covering those 3 things, and I'm teaching people in my Facebook group how to run a successful photography business. So I'm really excited about it.
You said what to say?
600 members yesterday.
Congrats.
Wow.
Let's run that back to, you say you're teaching people what to say?
I'm teaching people how to build an audience first, because that's most important. Secondly, once you get that audience, how to get them to actually message you for your services of photography or videography, and then what to say once they message you to book the photo shoot for $300 to $3,000. So a lot of people struggle with actually securing and closing a potential inquiry. And the reason why they struggle is because they just immediately give them their rates. A lot of people, whenever they contact a photographer, the first thing they say is, what's your rates? And the biggest thing you can do as a photographer is tell them what your rates are, because as soon as they know what you charge, that's all they needed. So what you should do instead is say, what did you have in mind for your photo shoot? And that's beneficial, one, because you put it back on them, telling them, hey, this is my business, this is my bulk work, and I need to first figure out if I want to work with you, first off. Secondly, I need to know what you require, because the pricing matters. Like, it depends. If somebody wants to do 5 outfits, 5 hours, I'm going to give them a different rate if they want to bring more models or it's a business. So you need to first figure out what they're interested in. So you say, hey, what did you have in mind for the photo shoot? Can you tell me about that? They will reply with basically the whole spiel, thinking about working with you. And whenever they reply and they tape up all of this thing, all those other options of other photographers, they're thinking about working with you instead of other photographers out there. So they appreciate, hey, this person actually wanted to know what I have, like what I had in mind for the photo shoot. I'm going to give them the details. And then you keep asking them questions until they finally ask, what is the price? Then you give them their rates. Because you qualified that person, they're more likely to actually book a photo shoot with you. So that right there has changed everything for my business. Now, whenever people contact me, I'm able to close them on a photo shoot.
That's
Everybody take some tips now.
Yeah, that's a.
I work with any industry as well. Like, in any industry, if people just want to know your price, they're going to continue to look at the competition and see what everybody else is charging, when it should really be about if you want to work with them, you know? And whenever they hear that from you as a business owner, they actually respect you a little bit more.
So what do you say to small companies or people that are starting off that contact you? They want the quality, but they don't got the money.
Well, if they don't have the funds to pay for a photo shoot, then we're not going to work together, most likely. But, you know, it depends on what they're interested in. I'm flexible, but to a degree, you know, I'm not going to what I know what I'm worth. And especially with my marketing, my consulting, my business coaching, if you don't know what you want, then I'm not going to work with you, because we're just going to be wasting time on a lot of side projects that aren't actually going to make a big difference in your business. So if somebody comes to me without really understanding what they really had in mind, then there's somebody waiting for me to reply to who does know. And I'm going to go with that person because, one, I want to work with somebody who knows what they want so that I can deliver it. And whenever somebody doesn't know what they want, it wastes both of our time.
True.
I think that goes for everybody. That's why most people, when you go to them to invest, they say they want a business plan.
Always, you have to.
Yeah,
You don't
because
know what people have in mind.
Yeah, you don't want to go to that person because time is money. They go to you, sit there, and they have you doing all this around back like circles, and then you're like, I could use this time for something else.
Or unrealistic expectations.
Yeah,
exactly.
they're thinking to blow their money, you know. Yeah, like blow the money and so forth, man. And the photography, I was actually looking at since I'm in the cars, like, do you work with a lot of people with cars? Like, not just regular cars. I'm talking about, like, the Centenario Lamborghinis. I'm talking about, Bugattis, Koenigseggs.
Yeah, there was this last car photo shoot I did was this Austin Hurley from like 1960 something.
Oh, I know exactly.
You know of it?
Now, Austin Healey. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
I've never heard of it. I've only heard of an Austin Martin. But they brought
Ashton Martin.
Ashton.
The little small cars. The small cars. Yeah,
it was small. They brought me to this very fancy house in my town. I did not even know that nice of places existed, and in Bloomington. And basically, they brought the car out. They had already washed it, made it look really pretty. I was like, whoa, this is going to be easy because it already looks so good. But yes, I do some automobile photo shoots, and it was definitely interesting to hear those guys' stories. Because they were selling it for their buddy who was actually living out of state. He was very wealthy, and now he had got some disease, and now he's like selling his assets. So I was taking photos so that they could sell it for like $60K or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
this is
Just
fun.
make sure, just say I get credits for the photos.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
No, they paid for it, so I don't.
Oh, right.
They own rights.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
well, at least you get to mentally note it.
Yeah.
I was on your website and I seen that one of your clients were Adidas. How did that happen?
Oh my gosh, that's a good story. So it's funny you ask. I'm still repping their brand because of this. But Adidas reached out to me for their mobile iPhone case release back about a year ago, and I took photos for their iPhone cases. So they sent me like 5 of them, and this one was my favorite, but I used a different one for the photo, and I edited it really cool. Have you ever seen those edits where it's like an iPhone and then it's like the road and it goes into cars and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I did an edit like that, and then I did a side back showing the beautiful iPhone case. And that was how I got to work with Adidas, because they wanted product photography for their mobile phone cases, and they wanted to do an Instagram campaign related to it. So they basically just shipped me the photo, or we agreed on the price. It was like a $400 promotion deal, and they sent me like 6 different like iPhone mobile cases that I could shoot with, and then I ended up giving those out to my friends because I didn't need them all.
Oh, nice.
But that's
Well,
how I
just keep us in mind next time. No, I'm just
keep
kidding.
us in mind, man. What's going on here?
I got a pink one. You can have that one, Lisa.
Oh, pink's my least favorite color. It's because I'm a girl. Thanks.
Ah,
But that was super cool, and definitely a story that I like to tell, that I got to work with Adidas. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did they fly you out or something? Like, how was it? Like, was it
No,
just?
No, they flew.
have
They
to.
sent him phones.
Yeah, but
Oh.
I have worked with this one investing application, and I did like a beach cleanup with them, because they went to my school at Indiana University, and this guy came in. He did a whole like presentation about his business in the environmentally friendly investing application, and like the investing space that's good for the environment. So that means you only invest in companies that don't have oil, or they're actually doing good things for the environment, staying within those the boundaries that we set with our government. And those are the companies that your investments go towards, because in the long run, those are the sustainable companies. The ones that aren't sustainable, they won't be able to, like, maybe they'll be adopted now, but in the future, people aren't going to appreciate those as much. And it's good to invest your money in a company that's green, sustainable, and stuff like that. So I really believed in their product and what they were doing for their business. And I went to the CEO during class, after the class, and I said, hey, I think I can help you with your application, getting you more followers and getting you more presence. And I came up with this whole campaign idea where we're going to go to the beach in San Francisco and bring all these photographers and clean up trash. And it was really successful. Like, the news, they flew me there. The news company was there, Fox, CBS, all these big news companies were there, as well as these influencers. Some of them are really famous now, like have 4 million followers, but at the time they had a few thousand. And we were able to pick up 700 pounds of trash that day. So yeah, it was super cool. Like, a lot of people came out.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Do you have any apps or anything that people can use to help with their engagement or anything? Because I know in a couple of interviews I've seen or listening to, you gave people tips on like how to grow followers each day and apps to use to help schedule and manage their business page. What are you using now?
If you struggle with posting then one that you can use for free is called later.com. And that's a way that you can actually schedule your Instagram photos. So say if you want to batch edit them and then schedule them out, then you can.
Is that for IGTV too?
No,
because a lot of scheduling apps, they don't have anything for IGTV. They need to upgrade that.
Well, you can schedule IGTV on web, I believe.
On web?
Yeah, I think you can do it on the web version of Instagram. I'm not 100%.
I need to get on this. I feel like I'm so off.
Yeah, this is very helpful.
Included with that, there's one called Display Purposes, and that's a website. So Display Purposes allows you to find hashtags that will actually work to increase your reach. A lot of people, they go with the most famous hashtags like for like or Instagood. You know, it's going to be hard to compete with all of those other people posting on that hashtag. So displaypurposes.com allows you to find relevant hashtags to your hashtag that you give it. So for example, you can type in bleach my film, which is my hashtag, and then it tells you all these other Instagram photography feature pages hashtags, and it spits them out within like 2 seconds. And you copy paste that and put it on your caption. So those are a few things. The rest of them I would keep secret for my paid training.
Man, we got a snippet. That's all we got, guys.
Group, talk to me. You can reach out to me at Caleb Schaftlein on Instagram, and you can talk to me about how you can grow your Instagram. I've been able to take photographers from Chicago, where I live, and they've been able to grow within 4 months from 5,000, literally having only like 500 followers, 500 likes per post, to where in 4 months they reached 20,000 and they were getting between 2,000 to 4,000 likes on each photo, getting featured by all sorts of feature pages, getting reposted, getting consistent followers. Not only that, but he's about to become a full-time photographer because of the increase in his reach and all these people who are contacting him now for paid photo shoots.
So I have a question though before you go.
Yeah.
Why is your Bleached film page specifically made private?
Right now, I am doing promotions for my page, so that means that I'm getting a promotion in a different area that's not on Instagram. And whenever I do that, it's a psychology thing, but because I have 500,000 followers, people are like, whoa, like this page is big, and they can't just go to my page and like a few photos and leave. Can we stop this and then get it on another one? We have less than a minute. But instead, now they're forced to follow me, and they actually follow instead of just coming, liking a few photos, and then leaving. So it actually helps you increase your followers more if you're paying for promotions to increase your reach. So, yeah.
Nice. That's really cool.
Super great strategy that I've been using.
Got the answer.
All right. Thanks for coming by, Caleb. Stay tuned for the episode to drop, and hopefully we can do this again.
I would love to. You all are super fun.
It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Horticulture.